Hello there and welcome. In this video I have 5 build ideas for the dark culture for you. We're going to go over the tomes and the things that will make the build work, strengths and weaknesses, and they're all optimized for the dark culture. A couple of them are already played, a couple of them I still want to play, they are on my to-do list, but I meant to share them anyways. So, let's get started with number 1. I like to call this one Cryoblivion, because it is pretty simple, just a fusion of cryomancy and utilizing the Tome of Oblivion's strengths. So here goes the idea. You're combining all ice things because this racks up a stupid amount of crowd control via White Witches, Ice Coffin. You slow the enemy with these frost skills. You get on the cold dark not so many extra tools to impede the enemy's movement, but you gain flash freeze, which is one of the most frightening status resistance removers in the game. So you're weakening up the enemy's resistances with that, and top it off in the late game with the Tome of Oblivion's high-end crowd control abilities and the Living Fog, whose insanity will be pretty much a guaranteed proc eventually. This all gets glued together, so to speak, with using 2 further tomes of the Chaos thing, Mayhem and Pandemonium. These 2 offer you, for 1, debilitation of the enemy via misfortune, some extra demon units, some extra province spawning things, and at the end of the roll, Pandemonium, which brings you some extra random negative status effects, but most importantly, you get to utilize the many debuffs that you inflict into raw damage increase, and you also get the wonderful Chaos Eater, which allows to just num down all the enemy's conditions in return of damage, and it's a fun build. It's very straightforward, cool to control the enemy. You have still quite some freedom to fit things in, because you have the entire tier 2, or, well, half of the tier 2 tomes, and 1 tier 2 tome entirely free that you can pick. And I enjoy this one because it also goes very, very nice in the later stages into corruption as well. If you have these available, try them out. Tentacle is also a nice fit to this. Fits very nice into the whole crowd control picture. Number 2 that I want to introduce is Dark Order. This is one of the things that I find extremely amusing about the dark culture, how well they are made to just embrace order. Here goes. You start out with Tome of Zeal. Brings you to Legion of Zeal, which straight up nice damage increase, Inspiring Chant for even more damage increase, and some more tools to condemn the enemy. Tome of Faith, on the other hand, gives you tools that you crave for as the dark culture, namely real healers, and also some really good ones at that. You also gain some extra buff abilities, some extra knowledge income on the side, all nice and dandy. Next step in the list, we're picking up Inquisition, because that brings us really nice further debuffs, and weakening is just very, very synergistic with our own culture. The Inquisitor is a very good fit for our own picture, and Mass Condemnation softens up the enemy's status resistance to make them even more vulnerable to the Inquisitor's mark. Tribunal brings you city stability and knowledge. Faith synergizes strong with that, and the off path now that we take is Doom Herald for this build. We have a lot of on-hit things going on, and Joy Siphoners is just such a nasty tool on that. We are stealing the enemy's morale, and we are enjoying ourselves a pretty high one at that, because Order does that. It's pretty nice, and they work really well together. Cruel Weaponry amps up the damage once the enemy's morale is dropping, and Cause Despair hits pretty nice together with Condemnation because the enemy's status resistance is so lowered. Obviously, this is an evil order build, so picture lawful evil in the high fantasy setting, and you're exactly there. After these, you can go into the high tier order tomes to your own liking. I personally think that Cleansing Flame is a very, very nice pick on this end. Cleansing Flame, Subjugation, Supremacy, Prosperity. These would be nice build paths which offer you sustain with no end, and at the same time a really nice damage profile. Subjugation works really nice, intimidating aura in combination with the Doom Herald. The Tyrant Knight gives you a really cool shock trooper, better than your own Dark Knight basically. And On the Supremacy end, your Battle Mages get an upgrade. Exemplars are, you have an entire tier 4 frontline at that point. And this is a really powerful build. You could also swap out Prosperity for Exaltation to get the Shrine of Smiting in. Either way you go, you have a very, very powerful build in your hands. Number 3 is what I like to call Dark Attunement. Here we go and strive for the Astral Path. We are picking here as a cultural trait, if you have it, Mana Addicts, because we are here for spell procs. So this gives you Life Leech when you cast a spell. Highly synergistic with Doc. We aim for Astral Attunement to gain positive status effects via spell casts, and we aim for Amplification for crits when spells are cast. This is on itself already a really, really powerful combination, and now after that you can now pick whatever type of battle magic spam you really like. The fun part is that it works with defensive spells, offensive spells, you name it. It's a really, really fun combination to play, and overall it drives mostly around your capability to cast spells, so it doesn't really matter too much what you pick. Besides these astral tomes, choose to your own liking. This is a very flexible idea of a build where I feel like there's lots of different paths you can go with this combination because you just have a very, very strong cultural roster. Mind you though, you need to have units that have at least the form trait, like these evokers, that they inherit your attunement things, and summon things are not as strong for this build. It's a very ratio build. So number 4 is a crit-based build. So here we have the following combos. We aim for Tome of Zeal for its damage increasers and morale gains, which is pretty nice for crits in general, and amplify that with Tome of Revelry. This offers us the Revelous Heart for extra morale gains, and the Scalds, which bring us fortune stacks. Both things excellent for our strategy. The next part to buff up our crits in this build is the Tome of Artificing, which brings our melee troops a whopping 30%. And after that, we go into the Chaos Tome of Devastation. This one gives you Flame Burst weapons, so you come to a 50% critical hit chance just with the enchantments themselves. This is really, really nice. Easily you can easily amplify that with your hero skills, signature skills for crits. On the left side, you also have something with adjacency crits. Use these. They're really, really good. And my personal favorite late game for this variant is to go for Tome of the Demon Gate, because this gives you Demonkin. The Frenzy characteristic is what we're after. Strengthened stacks give you a percentile damage increase, which is in combination with crits very yummy. You can then combine in Tome of Calamity and even get yourself recruitable demons that you can feed into the fight for power. That's also quite nice. And the last one, number 5, is a Dark Debuff build. This one, I want to say upfront, requires either 1 extra point of chaos in the cultural social traits, or you play just a dragon to make it easier, because dragons can pick up affinity points to their own liking. But here goes the debuff strategy. You pick up, again, Zeal, because Zeal is the cheapest access to condemnation that you can get, and it even gives you extra damage if the enemy is condemned. Condemned is so interesting because it lowers the enemy's status resistance, which is what we're after. Zeal gets combined with Inquisition. Inquisition is interesting because it has here a plethora of different things that it can inflict, and it offers you Mass Condemnation, which allows you to lower the enemy's resistances a little bit more widespread. And Burden of Guilt is also a really, really nice tool. Sadly, doesn't condemn. So, after that, we move on over to the next part of our combos, which would be... Sorry, I always look for the Tome of Alchemy by the nature tomes. We pick up Tome of Alchemy to pick up Afflicting Miasma. Afflicting Miasma does weaken the enemy per se, and it also inflicts several other conditions. We have already physical damage, which brings bleeding, and as the Dark Culture is that really, really nice because we have bleeding and weakness already included, and we have already Spirit damage, which automates then the condemnation inflictions, which is really good for our build, so we don't need the spells anymore. We can just use miasma for that. And we also gain poison damage from the Afflictor, which I will feature in a second. And this brings us another condition. Quite wicked, isn't it? So the next tome that we're going to pick up is not a tier 2 tome. We're going to backtrack into tier 1 and pick up Pyromancy to add in burning damage also into our portfolio. It's pretty nice because the Dark Culture really likes that. It also increases the percentile damage of your frontliners, don't ignore on that. We have nice spells, we have units that can inflict burning just by themselves, and we have a nice nuker. Nothing bad on that end. So, this is the second part of the combo. By this point, we have a lot of conditions that we inflict. Really, really a lot. So, we go now and pick up in the Shadow department the Tome of the Doom Herald for more debuffing. You see, we are already inflicting lots of statuses, yes, but we're not stealing morale yet. So that's what we are picking up here. It also is a very powerful economy tome that I personally value on so many ends by now. I love this tome. So, after Doom Herald has been picked up, we are going to go basically into the grand finale of our entire strategy, sort of, and pick up Pandemonium. Here, at this point of the build, you would only sit at 2 points of Chaos Affinity, which would not work at this end. Therefore, you need either the Social Trait, like I said, or Dragon Ruler, which is primed on Chaos. Just wanted to say that, otherwise the affinities won't match. Anyways, this brings you now to the point where you are inflicting random negative status effects on your battle mages. You have some. You have now extra damage amplification, 30% for statuses, 30% for negative morale, and we get the Chaos Eater. This is really, really lovely. So, the end point for this build, which I see as the last tomes to top it off, is then the Tome of Corruption, because I feel like after all the nerve-wracking things we are doing to the enemy, it's just the icing on the cake, and we ended up with the Tome of Calamity, which we just fit the requirements just ever so slightly after picking up the Corruption Tome. This is a very nice endgame, because the power-ups here are really substantial, and the Calamity Dragon is really cool. The Accursed Projectiles give us the last damage type that we're still missing. And yeah, the amount of different status and effects that you inflict with this build is just beyond insane. I must admit, though, that this is still a theory craft build. I meant to play it, but I didn't get to it yet. But I wanted to share it with you in anyways. So these are 5 build ideas for the Dark Culture that I personally value a lot, and I hope you like them. And I plan to do this for other cultures, so let me know what you want to see next or what you want to add in. I'm all ears. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, and consider donating or supporting the channel any way you see fit. I'd be deeply appreciating your help. Many thanks to all of you who do help this way. And many thanks for watching this video until the very end. I really appreciate your time, and I hope this was helpful. See you soon.